Guys, we are in fundamentals this month, and we're going to work in my class a very basic sequence, but now both people are going to have a role. So we're going to look at how to use the shin on shin guard to go to single leg X in the classic basic sweep, and then more importantly, we're going to see how to defend against it once we're seated, and then how to stop the full act from becoming a greater threat than it is, and then how to pass the guard off of it, all right? So Cal. Cal's going to be in butterfly, so I'm going to first talk about it from my perspective. So I want to step my foot in between Cal's legs, but if I step in blind, Cal, stand up for a single leg takedown. Boom, he can lift the wrestle up on me, etc. Right? So for me, I don't want to step in blind. So number one, I want to have a good stance. I'm going to use a thumb post with my backhand, and I'm going to put my foot in between. Cal, before going to shin on shin, he's going to have to clear my hand. So he's going to grab my wrist, and he's going to fan my wrist off. He's going to go to a shin on shin. And as soon as he does that, he's going to bring my knee nice and tight to his chest. The biggest error here is that people play shin on shin kind of loose, like this. If it's loose, like people can start to shoot for underhooks. People can even shoot for kimuras. People can start to grab the ankle back, step and pass towards that side. There's going to be a lot of things a person can do if it's loose. So it has to be very, very tight. Now, once it's tight, all those options disappear for me. There's no way that I'm going to be able to do any of those things, right? From here, wherever my foot is, whether it's here, 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 etc., what Cal has to do is he has to fall towards my foot and put weight on that leg with the inside of his forearm. So as he falls, for a moment in time, all my weight is on that leg. This one becomes light, so it's easy for Cal to pull into the shin on shin. What's very important for Cal is to always keep contact with the second leg. He wants to shave my leg all the way down and grab outside of my knee as he shoots his hips up. Beautiful. From here, what he wants to do to sweep me, because he already has both legs, is take this piece of his inside knee and touch his big toe. When he does that, I fall right away. Guys, this is a very important detail, because also on the landing, especially if I want to stall him out, I'm a little bigger or stronger than Cal. If the angle of his leg is this way, it's very easy for me to start to grab his head, all right? Some people that are even higher level even start to push this foot off and even start to find ways to go to the back or find ways to put hooks and go for back takes, etc. So there's a lot of things that I can do if this angle is off. So when we fall, it's very important that this angle is piercing and it's facing me. You see how this bone is facing me? So now look, Keanu, I can't scooch towards his back. Like, to roll towards his back is going to be very hard, and to go around and try to grab him is going to be very hard too. Now look, this is now pushing me away. So now Cal and I are the same height, but look, I can't reach for his head. Whereas if his leg is pointing this way, it's very easy for me to reach for his head, because now there's nothing in this area right over here, right? So as soon as we're here, now it's my turn. The defense starts now. What I want to ultimately do is I want to bend my leg and rock up onto my knee, and I want to extend my foot as much as I can. So if my foot's a little bit bent, Cal has a really nice access to ankle locks here, and now he can start to expose my heel and start to go for heel hooks, right? So I want to jam him up. I want to start to put my foot past his armpit and past his elbow line. So now if he tries to use his hand to go for my foot, go ahead, Cal. Look how he's trying to like reach behind himself, right? So now it's going to be uncomfortable for him. Now guys, this position is very, very important. This is going to be a place where either he's going to have a nice attack or I'm going to be able to stand up. If my head is like somewhere over here, like below his hips, he can do two things that are very, very strong. He can put a butterfly hook easily. This is very strong. Everybody does this for a good reason. Or he can reap. Boom. Either of those things, two things. If I simply bring my weight forward, Cal, put the butterfly hook. It's kind of uncomfortable. You see he's jammed up. Go ahead, put it in, Cal. It's very hard. See, it's difficult for him to do it. He's going to need to create space. Cal, try to reap across my hip. It's very hard. So simply by moving my weight forward here, it's difficult for him to do both of those things. Now when I stand up, I can't allow the same things to happen again. I can't allow him to grab my leg. So as I start to stand up, sometimes I'm going to grab, sometimes I'm going to grab, sometimes I'm going to be grabbing here. Depends, right? As I'm standing up, Cal, grab my leg. I'm going to grab his wrist and I'm going to start to backstep a little bit, all right, to make sure he can't grab it again. From here, I'm going to lean a little bit to the side. I'm going to grab his big toe. Some people are like too loose. They just like push it off. That's never going to happen. So you need to grab the big toe. I'm going to start to push it off. As I push it off, I'm bringing my shin sideways on his sternum. Now I'm going to switch my hands. Once the foot is off my hip, I'm switching. I'm going here and I'll cast. That's what I was talking about. You see, I'm thumb posting in this shin here so he doesn't follow me. And now I take a big back step. Guys, this is another piece, Keanu, where advanced students are going to be able to catch you. If Cal inverts underneath me, he can actually put me into saddle. Yep. So for that reason, what you need to do is as soon as you clear and get to side control, as soon as I'm here, what I need to do is I need to bring my foot across his hips. So now Cal, start to invert. It becomes awkward because I'm pushing his hips to the floor. Whereas if he's here, his hips are able to come up, and as he comes up, he's able to spin in saddle and other stuff as well, right? So as soon as right here, I'm gonna jam his hips. I'm gonna start to switch my hand with my own, with my knee. And now when I come down, a lot of times I can pin the arm, and then we can start to do all those moves we did last week, all right? Feel free to incorporate that if you wish, all right? So that'll be from my perspective. So I'm playing butterfly. Cal does a thumb post and he steps on the inside. I clear. As soon as I clear, I'm putting my hook in front of him. If you don't have the mobility, use your hand, scoot your butt back a little bit, put your foot right in front of you, and then go back into the shin on shin. Notice how tight I have it. Sometimes Cal's gonna be stepping back a little bit. I'm gonna follow. Wherever he goes, I'm going. And now look, as I'm falling, I'm using the inside of my forearm, not my hand, because here kimuras are open. Inside to go, and right away go into my single X, never losing access of this leg, all right? Now look at this, guys. This piece is gonna touch my big toe. When I do that, Cal falls. My knee is pointing towards him, not pointing perpendicular towards him. So now Cal, grab my head. See, this is kind of like a shield. You see that? This is gonna block him from doing a lot of different things. Cal starts to scooch towards my back. See, I'm keeping distance. Whereas if I'm here, he's now sometimes able to grab my hips. If he loses his knee, now we can have different situations where he's hunting my back or coming to wrestle up. So this is gonna be very, very important, right? So he's gonna rock up to both of his hands and extending his leg at the same time, so I feel like I'm chasing air. Here, I'm not gonna have a very meaningful grip on his ankle. If he has a bend in his knee, bend your knee, a little bit more, like, yeah, then look, I have a nice bite. You see that? But when he extends it, look, I'm like high in his calf. It's not gonna be too dangerous for him, all right? He's gonna bring his head forward. Yes, no, go, come back down. Bring your head, yes. Because now it makes it very awkward for me to put the butterfly or to put the reap. All right, now he stands up, blocking this leg, blocking my hand, exactly. He's gonna push that foot off. As soon as he pushes it off, he's gonna switch his hands. Hand goes onto the floor, he's pushing my shin down. He back steps, this foot is gonna go into my hip. He's gonna now use his hand to block my hip and consolidate side control. Oftentimes trapping my arm in the process, and then you can go ahead and do what we did last week, all right? The reason that'll happen is because the person on bottom is gonna be pushing. They're not gonna be so tight. So as they're pushing, a lot of times you can find your knee right over their bicep in the same position we did last week. Cool, so 2 players have a role here. So make sure both are doing the adequate positions, and call me over, guys, if you need help. Cool? Let's go. Guys, let's discuss some very important details, because if Cal's positioning is off, then I can counter him in so many ways. Leg locks are no longer new, so now people found new ways to counter them, and there's so many different things that people can do, all right? Especially if his positioning is a little bit off, right? So, for example, Cal, let's do the whole thing. So he's in butterfly, Cal's in butterfly, yep. So look, I step in with a thumb post. Look, as I step in, he's grabbing my wrist here, and now look at his elbow. He's rolling his elbow over the top to clear it, just like that. Now he puts the shin on shin, and now he goes to the back of my knee. Cal, when you're going, I want you not to grab my ankle, right? So go to the single X, but have this leg, have this hand available. Okay, go ahead. Go. That's when all of these counters are gonna happen, for example. Whereas Cal, as soon as you're going to single leg X, grab my leg right away, okay? He clears it. All those counters disappeared, okay? So that's number 1. So his hand, or let me do it for this on him. So as soon as I have already my shin on shin, the first piece we got, this hand goes from the inside, it shaves to the outside. It has to happen simultaneously. So as I'm going, look, it shaves, and I'm grabbing as low on his foot as I can. Now, a lot of his counters disappear. All right, so again, that's very important. Number 2, when Cal is down, and he has a single leg X on me, his leg positioning has to be like this. There should be very little visibility or access of this foot. If his leg is like this, for example, and there's a big gap here, there's many things that can happen. One of the things, for example, is now look, there's gonna be a huge gap that I'm now gonna be able to go into that space, and now I can start to go for corkscrew toes, etc. Okay. Also, from here, one very powerful move that I can do is an aoki. All I have to do is just fall to the side, and now I can aoki cow. It doesn't make any sense. How can I full lock him when he has a full lock on me? It's because his leg positioning was incorrect. Whereas when he is correct, those options just become very difficult for me to do. There's just no space for my hand to go. Does that make sense? So make sure this is nice and tight, and make sure this bone is pointing towards the person as much as possible, as opposed to pointing away from that person. Now, see, all that space is gonna happen. Does that make sense? So let's just clean it up. Let's make those details perfect, and then we're gonna roll right after, all right?